we could dive into a very deep rabbit hole as far as like politics, influence in the military and whether I agree or disagree with some of those things. But I was thinking about this earlier.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it earlier. Like, to you and I, we're similar in age.
Yeah.
What seems a little bit weird to us and kind of with our old line of thinking, to the newer folks, to the younger, to them it's very, very normal. It's much more acceptable.
Yeah.
Life's kind of beautiful like that, isn't it? About the time that we're kind of at wit's end and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? You're old. You're like really old. You're making plans, for your last 10 years of life before you take your dirt nap.
Yeah.
And everything, the drum just keeps on beating.
I'm
just
okay.
the way it is.
Like culture, music, I saw my 80s hair. I'm dying it tomorrow. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to have 80s hair. It just kind of, when you're living in Florida, it just, anyway. It happens.
It's always humid down there.
Yeah. So I get it. Like, I get it. Like younger generation, new music, new culture, new fashion. Okay, whatever. But the military, you don't go train.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an extension of power to smash somebody the minute they get out of line and mess with our way of life. Like, and I'm totally understand that. And I'm still plugged in the DoD and I'm still seeing a lot of the good things that we're doing, evolving with technology and stuff. I think as long as we just still have that American will and that spirit,
we'll be all right.
We'll be okay, because I will tell you, like, China may have better technology than us and they may be a little bit more advanced and they go to school and, and they must be much more academically inclined than we are. But put an American, a good American in a phone booth with a good Chinaman, American going to beat that ass.
Yeah.
Because of that will to win, that spirit, right? That when it comes time, we dig deep. We rally together, we bond, and we go out there and we smash people.
Exactly.
If we lose that, we're screwed. Right now, we're good.
That's worth fighting for. September 12th, 2001, that existed. And it was, and that's why it was so awesome to be part of the world's best fighting force. Now, 22 years later, information's coming out. Things may not have been exactly as they seem to us. But all I know is at the time and for a long time, we were doing what we believed in, meaning as a volunteer force to be part of something, greater than ourselves, to protect and defend what we value most in this beautiful country. And more, that's what matters. That's really what matters.
And more importantly, the neighborly, the humble, the camaraderie within community. The nation just rallied and wrapped itself around each other. Humans did that. But hey, that's why what we do is so important, Magda, that we get up here and we set an example for people and we show them, what good behavior, looks like. Yeah. I believe in what we're doing, and leadership, never stops, and sharing these experiences doesn't stop. So, I appreciate, doing this with me. So,
my pleasure. I'm so grateful for what you're doing. I think it's so important, and it's kind of like our duty too, because we can't control, obviously we don't have a say, a vote necessarily in how certain things are done, what kind of training they're doing and so on and so forth. But we can show them the warrior way and how
it matters.
Yeah, what we did and how we pulled through and how we're there for each other too. And that matters.
Yeah. There's a couple other, I think, just really important points that I want to get to, before we end our time. Right. And I think one of them is that, you transitioned out of the military and you immediately, went back into the workforce and you were just crushing it professionally. You're working as a contractor, doing really well. You started your own LLC, but then you had some personal issues that, were kind of on the back burner, but then they came up to the forefront. Can you talk to everybody a little bit about that journey, please?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I got off active duty, returned from Iraq in 2007, and everything hit. Yes, I landed a defense contractor position. So I had a job. So I had a reason to wake up and go and do something. And it felt good to, we were training the Navy. They had just stood up their civil affairs unit. So it felt really good to be like, hey, just got back from boots on ground, take these, points and learn, let us training. So that part felt good for about 8 hours a day, roughly, right? And then during the FTXs. But outside of that, I was struggle sauce, like in every single way. Divorce, health issues started kicking in, and I went from peak running and gunning, and I was 30, low 30s. I don't remember exactly at that point, 2007, 34 maybe. And, started having health issues and not understanding things and couldn't connect with people. Like I felt naked without my M4 right by me. It was just so weird.
Yeah.
You come back, especially as a reservist, right? Active duty, you come home, you, do some admin, whatever, but you're with your family, your friends, you're home and the people that you serve with, right? I mean, maybe you're training up. I know a lot of units they constantly train up, but you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Reservists, you come back, you have a week of unfolding, and then you're alone in the civilian wild. And after, 2 hard tours, hard meaning, losing people that, could have been me, but it wasn't. And, and then dealing with the bullshit politics part of, when I was trying to whistle blow on the enemy and, my own leadership kind of made a joke about it. Right. That's a little bit of a stressor, right? You're stuck in a vacuum. You have to deal with that. So all that comes down. Right. And then what do you do next? How do you relate to people? You're changed. You're a different person. So so from the get-go, I mean, I hid everything.
Wear a mask.
Yeah.
Wear a mask.
And, but I did do some things right. Instead of taking the one path of self-medication of any kind, right? I didn't. So it made for longer nights and struggles but I pushed through, and that's important, It took about 10 years. Exactly. And within that, there were times where I didn't really have much reason to keep going, or maybe it was something as little as, well, the sailors that we're training, they need you, so you show up for them.
Mm-hmm.
So you hung in there.
Clinically, did you have to do anything to unpack, the way that you were feeling? Did you have to do anything medically, or did you just sort of broaden it on your own shoulders and just, work your way through it?
It was probably 5-6 years before I went to the VA just to talk to somebody. And the doc was just typing away what I was telling them. And I'm like, look, I'm struggling here. And she's like, would you like to be, this after 10 minutes, would you like to be on our experimental LSD program? I'm like, what? I'm just embraced everything. I just wanted to talk to someone. And I'm like, I never went back. And so I was working, I did a lot of volunteer work with veteran nonprofits, a lot, because to me, there were service members that were far worse off than I was, the ones who were critically wounded. But then that narrative started to change as, the realization within our community of TBIs and the suicide rate was starting to creep up there. And it was actually becoming greater than the number of those killed at war, and all these cancers started appearing. So there was so much work to do with helping others. And in a way that helps you, it gives you that mission. But I wasn't addressing it for myself, but I was learning some things. I was learning about root causes of, health issues and starting to understand what was going on. And mind blowing. I will never forget. We were deployed, right? We had countermeasures on the vehicles, on the Humvees, of course, that would basically put out signals to destroy the IEDs on the road before the vehicle, the convoy came up.
The vehicle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we had one called an MMBJ. And I remember I just get in because I was the turret gunner in my vehicle and flipped the switch and it was on, right? Well, you knew that it would actually it would interfere, of course, with your communication. So you'd have to shut it off sometimes if you had to, communicate this, that, and the other, right? But you didn't really understand the technology. We just knew we were lucky to have that thing because it was beefed up and it worked really well. Well, I was working as a defense contractor and we worked with different technologies and was in a course, if you will, where they were explaining different types of signals type equipment. And the conversation was talking about the MMBJs and how it was almost identical to sticking your head in a microwave. And I'm like, And I'm listening to this conversation and they're going on and on about it. And I'm like, that's where it's hitting me. Like, what was I exposed to? I had headaches that I couldn't explain why, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know.
I see the tie-in. But
Bluetooth devices started, with your cell phone started coming in. So I started using it for convenience. Well, I would get headaches. So I stopped. So today will not use Bluetooth. And it scares me. I won't lie. Like I'm gung ho on like my clean eating, clean lifestyle and everything, but it's still, I don't have a full, level of confidence that, maybe something wasn't, ruined that might manifest itself later on in life.
Sure.
Because that is something that we are seeing with so many different veterans. But rather than focusing on that, I just try to like I said, be healthy. I'm living in Florida, get a lot of sunshine here. Yep. Just try to stay healthy, exercise, sleep well, like I remember when I was finally able to start sleeping, for the first time in 9 years, like meaning and have good dreams, right?
Yeah, like really sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, like
deep sleep.
Yeah, and it's great, and I do enjoy that now. So hopefully I'm doing everything right. But the reason I'm sharing these things is because when you have an open mind and you're growth minded, like you keep your ears open and your eyes open, and then you may find answers to things. And when you understand things, you know how you can find solutions to things, and then everything makes sense, and then you move forth, right? Smartly. But it's so sad because so many of our brethren, they don't have those answers, and they hit that easy button and self-medicate. And unfortunately, we've lost so many of them,
Yeah. So many. I mean, next month I'm going to put on a panel about mental health and suicide. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And it's been proven that even just raising awareness helps. But we're looking to inject some energy into more folks in organizations taking bigger action steps. So I'm really excited about that. But a lot of the things that you just talked about and unpacked a little bit, they're gonna come to light, whether it's radio waves, burn pit, breathing, depleted uranium, shocks, shock blast and trauma, all these things
anthrax
are going
vaccinations.
to. Yeah, anthrax. They will have, they'll continue to rear their ugly heads. No different than the folks that went through Vietnam and all the things that they were exposed to. So we're going to continue to learn about these things down the road. But I think the most important thing, Magda, is that you found, some people have to go to a clinic, some have to, go get deep therapy to work through the issues, and then some. And those are okay. Like that, those are good things. You just need to take the journey and the path that you need to be to keep yourself out of the red zone.
Yeah.
Right. You may not always be in the green zone and be, 100%, but as long as somewhere in green and yellow, but you can't get over to that human volcano red because bad things happen when you get there. So if you can shoulder that burden yourself, awesome. If you need to go to the VA to get it. If you need to go to a psychologist, whatever you need to do, the most important thing is that you are taking actions to put your health first.
100%.
Very important.
It's our duty to do that.
Yeah.
What was the enemy? We don't want the enemy to get another point,
Yeah.
You're more than.
Yeah. Let's not let the enemy get another vote. You're absolutely right. Like they got enough votes from us,
Oh, they did.
You're in the workforce, you identified some things and you're on a path to, but then you had the light bulb moment in around 2019. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but the light bulb went on and just things just started changing for you. And that's how you got into what you're doing now. So the baton's over to you.
Well, so it started happening because I was taking actions to put myself in a moment where I could get that light bulb moment. Meaning like I said, I started, cleaning up my health and like really focusing hard on that. And also surrounding myself, letting go of toxicity, right? And surrounding myself with people, good people, right? And they weren't
huge.
None of them were veterans, really. I mean, just successful people who poured into me and others, right? And helped me realize like I've got something to contribute to this world now. Like it's my mission to get it out there, right? Anyway, so I was in this course and I never talked to anybody about any of this. Remember, I was reclusive, like
the mask.
Yeah, right. Like, so we had like homework. We had to put a video together or something. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to, so I'm going to talk about veterans issues because I could talk about others, the veteran struggle from that perspective, not my own, you know? So I started sharing it. And one thing led, you know, because I'd done all the nonprofit work, so I could speak with some level of authority to, you know, a bunch of civilians who knew nothing about veteran struggle, you know. So one thing led to another, and I realized, you know, one of my mentors, Pete Vargas, amazing human being. He pulled it out of me. We had a dinner, about 20 of us were sitting around, and when it came to my time to interact, he pulled it out of me, and I got emotional, and I purged, I broke down, you know, and he pulled it out in the way that only Pete could. And at that point, I realized I need to share my story. I love history, so that part like made it a little bit more easier to write the book, because I was like, it's cool to capture history and share that. But I started writing my memoir, essentially, right? And in the process of writing the memoir, that's where I had that clarity moment. And it hit me. And it was like this, essentially, it's a concept called freedom triangle, which I don't know if it'll pick it up, but that triangle, freedom triangle. Mm-hmm. So 3 points: time freedom, health freedom, and the pinnacle is mind freedom. And it's essentially what I did, the roadmap that I followed, not knowing it at the time, but I was able to look back and recognize that. And that led me to this point of inner peace and personal freedom, where I had finally gained control of my life. I let go of the past, all that didn't serve me anymore. That kind of power is just so empowering, you know? It's just like, oh my gosh, I've got to share it with others. Yeah. And it just so happened I was literally on the Hudson River looking up at this glowing LED light on this brand new super tall building that they were building. And I call that freedom triangle. And that's what I wrote about in the book. You know, it took 10 years to get there, you know, more than 10 years. It was like 12 years to get there.
Right. Let's pause, right? Mm-hmm. What I want to do is I want to give everybody a visual. So I'm going to show, I'm going to show your website. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show your book, and then I'm going to show you a fragrance line. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, we'll kind of talk about each one of those, you know, before we wrap it up. Okay. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Check out Magda Khalifa's portfolio. Here we go. Magda, I'm proud of you. Really good job. You know, my brother read your book. He said it's fantastic. I have it on order. I'm excited to read it too. Would you mind, first off, you know, talking a little bit about your memoir, you know, kind of the American dream, because I know that's what it's called. That's an acronym, the dream, and share a little bit about it.
Sure. So American dream, discipline, resilience, endurance, adaptability, and mentorship to succeed and win in life. So basically, when I spoke about, you know, turning my life around over the course of the decade, I'm trying to provide the shortcuts here to people. So no matter what their struggle is in life, what they've been through, and it could be things far, far worse than what I've been through, they can apply these tenets and push through and gain control of their life and find their own freedom triangle. So that's essentially, you know, the premise for the book. Of course, it does have history in there. I honor, you know, fellow service members who are no longer with us, and talk about some of these battles with, you know, that, you know, so much was going on. Wasn't always captured, you know, as a witness to history. I felt it was important to include that in there, you know, but each chapter has lessons learned as well and takeaways. So you get a little bit of everything in there. But that's my life, you know, a little bit of everything there. Yeah. And then shortly after the book came out, so this was October 2019 when I published it. One of the last few months before the world changed, right? But anyway, I realized not everybody's going to read the book because attention spans have, you know, shortened for sure. So I thought, I really got to get this across to someone. So I thought I need a physical product that I could introduce this freedom triangle concept to. So I thought of fragrance. luxury fragrance for men and for women. And so I developed Triangle fragrance, and it's made in USA, luxury fragrance line for men and women. And what it does essentially, I have, here's a bottle, one of the scents inside. Well, on the back, each one has a unique story that ties back to one of the points in the Freedom Triangle. And then when the person opens it up, the idea is they spray the scent, and then in it has a collector's card. And you could think of it as affirmations, personal development. Again, each one is unique, but it all ties back to the Freedom Triangle. So the idea is they spray this amazing scent and, of their choosing, and then they have the card to go with it. So as they enjoy it throughout the day, because it's long lasting, maybe they'll start, absorbing some of this, and it can help serve.
Not only does it smell good, it's also spiritual fragrance. What a genius concept of, how you are branding, your book together with the fragrance and kind of the tie-ins. What a hell of a foundation.
It made sense, pun intended.
Yeah.
But it literally made sense. Like, we never would have imagined going from the battlefield to the beauty world. In fact, like, I'm such an outlier there, the 80s era. But it's like, okay, because the scents are vessels. The scents are vessels that help people get from where they are today to where they want to be. And that's the beauty about it, like the power.
And don't be modest. Like, how is your book performing? How's your fragrance line going? I mean, are you able to, sustain?
So the average book sells about 200 copies. That's the average. So it's definitely sold a lot more. Actually, it's one of the best sellers. when I do shows, I always have books, and I always sell out of the books, and it feels great. You know why?
Yeah.
Because yes, the business is the fragrance, right? I mean, that's the business. I'm trying to build a multinational brand, but when people want to read the story, I know that there's something in there that can serve them. And that feels so good, because I mean, that's really, that's why people write,
impact is the secret sauce.
Yes.
Impact,
Yes.
not money, not wealth, impact. And your book will impact many.
I hope so. I really
it's like leaving a legacy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can only put forth your best thoughts and ideas. And, I think it's important to do that. And again, these are all things I never grew up thinking, oh, I want to be an author, or I want to own a fragrance brand or anything. Like, I never thought any of those things, but life happens. But here's the beauty about life. I'm approaching 50 here, in a few weeks, right? And I realized, hey, life, the beauty about life is like recreating new chapters, evolving, and taking everything from the past, good, bad, and indifferent, and just becoming a better version of you every single day. And
every day.
Yes. Because then you feel good about yourself. And
every day
you can help others too along the way. And it goes back, like you said, the impact. And that's really what it's all about.
What it's all about.
Exactly.
I'm just proud to have, that you would share, your story with me and give you the insight and the background of, of your concept and and the ethos and just all the goodness that, you're promoting through your fragrance line, through your book. It's just it's a modern day, just successful American story. And it's amazing. And we're getting ready to get wrapped up. Unfortunately, we're running short on time, but I did want to ask you this question because I think it's important, because the only thing we're doing, Magda, every day, besides, trying to get better, is we're getting older though too. What is the retirement plan for Magda Khalifa?
Retirement, I probably have a good, maybe 35, 40 years ahead. I can't imagine not working on something. I even say I'm looking forward to any sort of retirement, because again, I'm very mission driven and need to have a mission. And yeah, maybe a couple days off, maybe a few years from now might be nice, I guess, but I just need to feel that I've, been productive and moved the needle forth every day. Otherwise, like, you just feel very agitated. That's just how some people are, you are doing some amazing things with the podcast and the fundraising that you're doing right now. And I want to know what exactly is the big thing out there that you've thought about doing that maybe scares you just a little?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, right now I'm just hyper focused on just trying to build, this brand and and get this memorial, complete. That's the short term. Now, long term, it's about impact. I want to grow my channel. There's no doubt about that. I want people to watch it and to get inspired by it and listen to experiences and stories that we can share. I believe in what I'm doing 100%. I mean, hands down, and I'm still trying to get off the ground per se, even though I got a pretty good size following and the channel's performing well. But I haven't really thought about it because I think it's just take it in stride as, it unfolds. With good hard work, with effort will come results. It will happen. I just don't know when and to what level it will do. But the level I'm performing at now far exceeds anything that I ever thought possible when I set up one little camera that was fuzzy in my garage and talked for 6 minutes into it. To grow it to what it is today, I'm incredible. If it all ended tomorrow, it's a huge success story for me.
100%. Such an honor to be a part of this too. Thank you.
Yes, and to wrap it up for tonight, Magda, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Greg, for nominating Magda to come on the show. You've just had an incredible journey. Yeah, he's such a great dude. But your journey is just incredibly inspiring. Additionally, just congratulations on your book, your fragrance line, all your successes, and for stepping up to the plate and admitting and succumbing, saying that I do have these lingering issues that I need to confront and I need to deal with, and dealing with it the right way in a healthy way. Yeah. That is a huge lesson for all the viewers out there, because typically the people that I know, myself included, we venture down the other path and we find the Band-Aids. I've had, folks on my podcast that unfortunately have, used drugs, alcohol, and that's just not the right way to handle it. So take the steps that you need to take to get on the right path, like Magda did. That's the last lesson for the night. Over to you for save rounds.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Just, like I mentioned earlier, it's just so great to connect with another veteran who, has a similar, familiar context of the battlefields we were on. So very grateful for that. And I treasure that tremendously, because my day-to-day isn't, I'm not essentially, bonding with fellow vets on the day-to-day. I'm in the business world now, it's different, right? So it's always nice to be able to step back and really connect that way. And thank you to your listeners. I really hope that something in this episode hopefully, helps them in the ways that they need.
Absolutely. If anything, it's going to inspire, people to reach within themselves and continue to, find that extra little bit of, gas that they need to get, closer to their goals, to carve out a vision in their life. So don't forget Magda's book, American Dream. Please pick up a copy. I'll put the website on here. Her fragrance line, good smelling stuff from what I understand. I do plan on buying a bottle in the future. Once Mama, clears out, my what do you call allowance money? Once she gives me a little bit of allowance, right? We'll get that done. And last but not least, Magda is very active on Instagram. So there's no hidden name. It's Magda Khalifa on Instagram, and she's got 105,000 followers over there. And she continues to promote that positive content throughout that platform.
Magda.khalifa.usa.
There it is. There it is. A true American patriot that she is. All right, we're going to shut it down for the evening. Hey, remember, be bold, be brave, be exceptional, and continue to press the gas on life. This has been a hell of a night, and thank you very much for tuning in with Magda and I. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care now.